I don't want to go to the very, very beginning of your sort of quote unquote story. I'd love
Sure.
to go to kind of the microscopic middle of
Mhm.
maybe even before you were reading Stephen's books,
Yeah.
that a moment of flow that you came upon and you were just like, okay, there's something here that I can use. Can you kind
Yeah.
of break down that moment for us and what you deemed useful in it at the time?
Sure. So I believe that this is probably a different interview than most of yours, but I believe that I'm hardwired by nature to have depression. So if you look at family history, if you look at just the melancholy way I was born, you can see that depression was just there. And so in my young adult years, I actually struggled with self-injury. That was kind of my kryptonite, if you will. So although I haven't self-injured in 2 decades, my young adult years were really patterned by a high performance secret addiction to self-injury. And I see some of that actually as the answer was flow.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So what do I mean by that? Well, I believe that our neurochemicals are designed to essentially help people that struggle with depression. And I'm not saying, oh, there's never a place for medicine, but I do believe that too often we go to the normal, prescribed, accepted solutions that the world offers.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one of my ways to get out of self-injury was really tapping into writing. And I know Stephen's done a lot of work, even doesn't he have a course on flow for writers?
He does,
Yeah.
yes.
So I gotta cross promote a little bit there. The other program. But to me, there's nothing more powerful than you creating a work of art. And so if you look throughout history, there's probably a lot of artists that got into flow.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you sit up and paint the Sistine Chapel for hours and hours and hours, you know, there, I mean, you just look at master artists throughout history, and I think a lot of them got into flow.
Yeah.
So, right? I mean, what do you think?
I totally agree. And as you're saying that, I know, we kind of believe in as a culture that there is that stereotype of the depressed artist or the struggling artist,
Yes.
kind of almost thrives off of those downs in order to get those creative highs. I'm wondering in your case if that was if that shift into cultivating your creative side through
Yeah.
reading and maybe writing, did that take you
Oh,
out of
yeah.
the self-injury? Did
Oh,
that kind of
absolutely. Yeah. So the destructive creative energy,
Mm,
the predictable creative energy can be self-injury. And I think the listeners who are amazing, by the way, so glad they're tuning in. But I think that the listeners, that's the easy cookies at the bottom shelf is just be like, well, let's just pop some pills or let's just self-injure. I think that there's a lot of our world that is self-injuring in different ways. Maybe not with a knife or a
mm,
destructive physical object, but you look at our world today, and a lot of them are self-injuring. And some of the self-injury could be maintaining a uneventful routine, anti-flow life
mm,
where it was interesting. Carl Jung, Swiss psychologist, was asked the question, what's the most damaging thing in the life of a child? It wasn't alcoholism, it wasn't abuse, it was the unlived life of the parent.
mhm. Yes.
So you see that is self-injury. When a parent comes home and for 18 years of the kid's life, they see their parent kick the proverbial dog, um, curse, and say, give me the remote so I can veg out. Veg is short for brain dead, vegetable. There's something that's very anti-flow
Mm,
with being in a vegetative state. You look at flow, and flow is the opposite. Flow is, I'm very, very encouraged by flow triggers. And I was thinking of how to prepare for this interview, and I thought one of the flow triggers that I use every day is novelty, because it actually jacks you out of this, uneventful, blasé life, and getting novelty. And you might say, how are you tapping into novelty? Music, when I write, different foods. So travel. This is why a lot of people, when they travel, they're like, oh my gosh, I saw all these things and my mind was on fire and I had the best time of my life. It's because they experienced a flow trigger, novelty.
If what you've heard on Flow Research Collective Radio has been helpful, please consider doing us a solid and leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening to this. Reviews help us connect to a wider audience so we can get these peak performance principles out to more people.